Good evening. Might be good afternoon for you, depending on when you happen to watch this video. This is Michelle Lewallen, and I am the instructor for this course. I don't think I have myself on video, but I do have the screen on here. I will not be in class on Tuesday, so we have the video instead of regular class. And then Thursday, we will have regular class at 6 until 7:15, and we will go over what we're going to be doing. If there's any questions that we have after this video, I'll go over that, and then we'll get jumped right into our curriculum and our instruction for this session. It's an 8-week session. We don't have any spring break during this one or any type of big break, so we'll pretty much go straight through to the first part of May with this course. So let's just get right into the course. Welcome to Composition 2. Most of you finished Comp 1 with me, and I believe we have possibly one other student that is new to us for this session. You needed to have completed with Composition 1 with a passing score of at least a C to get through to Composition 2. So welcome to Comp 2. In this course, we will be taking it a step further from what was covered in Composition 1. If you took it with me, then we went through argument, we did different papers, and we worked on writing an essay using citations and different evidence. We will be continuing that with our big assignment, which I'll discuss here in a little while, and everything that we do throughout this session will lead up to our final assignment that will turn at the end of this class. So on your Blackboard screen, which I have in front of us, and this is my view, I'm going to switch over here to student view. So on the student view, in your Blackboard, you have your announcements. If you log into Blackboard at least once a day, you never know when I'm going to throw an announcement up there. Things come up. I am also still a high school teacher here at Lamesa High School. So there are times when, like tomorrow, I work with our theater department as assistant director, and so I am gone with one act play tomorrow. And if they advance, then that could be another class that we have to go online for instead of in person, because I think the next level, I guess, I can't remember if it's area or region, anyway, is April 9th, and that's a class night. So we'll just have to see what's going on then. But because you never know what's going on, whether we get sick or there's something weird with the weather or whatever it happens to be, keeping an eye out for this area here, announcements. I'll use that to show, like, no class on Thursday or on Tuesday. We'll have class on Thursday. Maybe I have something in there like bring such and such to class, or don't forget that this is due. So you want to make sure that you know, check this at least once a day. I would say log into Blackboard and see what's going on. In messages, you can see where on my email, I send an email out through messages here, and then I usually tag it as an email to you. I'll also use the I guess it's EAB message network to get a hold of you as well. All of your content for our class is going to be on this main page. This here will have all of our modules and anything that I expect you to receive, any links, any type of content, any resource that I want you to do, any of your assignments, all of that will be on this page here. So let's just kind of go across what we have. Due dates usually show up here on the calendar. So if we went across and looked at, we've got, I don't think it shows up there. Let's see if it's got something on one of the due dates there. It's got 2 little dots. So on the calendar, you can look and see there's due dates. I can click on due dates here, and it will pull all our due dates up. If you didn't use this in your first session using Blackboard, then I would consider making this part of your weekly check, bi-weekly check, whatever, just to make sure that your due dates are there. As you can see, we've got some due dates that are coming up that are already posted. So that calendar there can help you with those due dates, announcements, the discussions. If you're not sure if we have a discussion that week, you can go to discussions and it will show what discussions we have. I'll put the due date up on class here. Then you have gradebook. Gradebook will list everything that you have that's coming due. and when it is due. I don't know why that says late. It's not late. That's the wrong date. That's the wrong date. Ignore that. I'll fix it. And then messages, and right now we don't have groups. So let's go back to content. The first thing that you see at the top of the course content there is Concourse, and that is our syllabus. And it is just the normal syllabus that comes from Howard. I did add in a few things. There's our course description. Prerequisite is 1301. Your textbook is linked here. I also have it linked on the content page. So it opens up in its own tab when you click here. It's an online textbook. You don't need to buy anything for this class. The learning outcomes, all of our assignments are attached to the learning outcomes. Attendance policy. Attendance is part of your grade with this class. It's part of the expectation with Howard. You have two classes a week, each of those an hour and I think it's 15 minutes, meaning that we have 2.5 hours of class, but we have more hours that are expected of us outside of class. Because this is an 8-week session, most semesters are 16 weeks. We take 16 weeks of material, cram it into 8 weeks so that you can get your 8-week session and get through some of your courses in a quicker manner. But with that comes the expectation that you spend time online and you do outside of class work. That is tracked through, there's an actual portion on my side that shows how many hours you're in, how long it takes you to do assignments. I'll upload different things that are reading something or a video to watch, or there's other resources so that you can get that online time and get those hours in, as well as just taking into consideration how long it takes for you to do a regular assignment. If there's an emergency and you're not able to come to class, I just ask that you either text me or email me and let me know that you're not going to be there, just so that we know to go ahead and start class. You're not going to make it through there. Then if you're going to be late, communicate that as well, just so that we're not waiting for you to come before I start up with class. If you have excessive absences, then I will do an alert, meaning that I put a note in on Howard that alerts that you've had excess absences, and usually somebody will reach out to you to see if there's some kind of resource that you might need or need something to help you throughout the course. If you're absent on a day that includes a due date, that assignment is still due on that due date. Just because you're absent does not negate the due date for those assignments. I do allow late work. I do accept late work. It might come with a reduction of grade on that assignment. I also allow extensions. So if you're wanting, something's going on, something's coming up, and you need an extension, then you can email me for one extension for each assignment. All assignments need to be finished, revised, due, complete. Everything is done before we take the final in the last class. Our learning outcomes, by the end of this course, you should be able to demonstrate knowledge of individual collaborative research processes. Research processes is going to be a main focus for this session. Develop ideas, synthesize primary, secondary sources with focused academic arguments, including one or more research-based essay. We'll have one large research-based essay and then various activities that lead up to that. You will be using primary and secondary sources. Actually, you'll be using tiered sources, I guess is how I should put that. Some of those will be included with primary and secondary. Be able to analyze, interpret, and evaluate a variety of text for ethical and logical uses of evidence. Write in a style that clearly communicates meaning, building credibility, and inspires belief or action. And then apply the conventions of style manuals for specific academic disciplines. Much of our writing will be done in the MLA style, though through this assignment you will have a little bit of leeway to be able to use APA on the final portion or MLA. Those will be the two allowable options for your final essay. All other writing assignments that are going to be in between will be MLA. So course requirements, what we will be going through and doing in this class, you will have text readings, 2 to 3 chapters to read for the class. These need to be read before the following class. So I put them in like they're assigned today, they're due tomorrow, or they're assigned on Tuesday, they're due on Thursday, so that you've read ahead of what we may be talking about in that class. There will be quizzes throughout the class that will go over maybe the readings or something that is in one of the resources. These are online and will be in Blackboard. And then these assignments here will lead up to our final research paper. You're going to do a research paper proposal, which is basically telling me what you plan on researching, and give me your thesis for that, and then a little bit of an outline of the content that you'll be including into your research paper. And we'll talk much more about that next week, or actually next class. Annotated bibliography will be one of your first larger assignments. It's a short summary of the various sources that you will be using in your research paper. You will also have a works cited or resources page that lists all of the sources that you are using or that you have used to gain any information to help you with your research. Our final large culminating activity will be the research paper. Throughout the semester, you will have various discussions. That'll be part of that student learning outcome, where you have collaborative activities throughout class. And then also you can do a grade dispute. If you find something that you believe you should have received a better grade, you don't agree with the grade, then you can dispute your grade, have a conversation with me, and we'll go over any revisions or anything else that maybe did not meet my expectations. And then you can go over what you think, where you think you met those expectations, and then we can have a conversation about that grade. If there's anything that we need to change, then I respectfully, I reserve that right to change the syllabus as needed, change the assignments as needed. If you're not sure of what a policy is, there is a student handbook. Blackboard information is on the syllabus as well. We have the opportunity for online tutoring. There's a link here for the tutoring that you can use, as well as we have tutoring on campus at Howard. We just have to turn in a request for tutoring, and then they will get in touch with you and let you know when they have an opportunity for you to go to tutoring. Let me go down here. AI. The definition of unauthorized use of AI is the unauthorized use of AI is referring to employing AI tools and technologies without proper authorization or in violation of the student handbook, with the intention to gain unfair advantage in academic activities. This includes, but is not limited to, the use of AI to generate or complete assignments, projects, assessments, without disclosing the use of AI with or without the instructor's permission. Using AI chatbots, virtual assistants to seek answers or assistance during exams, tests, quizzes, or other assignments that have not been explicitly allowed. Manipulating an AI system or algorithm to bypass security measures, access unauthorized information, or compromise the integrity of academic assessments. Sharing or distributing AI content as one's own work without proper acknowledgement or attribution as indicated by your citation guide or your instructor. If you use some kind of AI generated content, maybe you used a website that provides AI content to help you understand something, then that needs to be included on your works cited. And that would be part of maybe some of your research. If I find or I suspect, and let me reiterate that, if I suspect that you have plagiarized the paper, copied it from another site, or you have used a ChatGPT to write the paper, or any other ChatGPT or any other AI assistants to write the paper for you, write the research paper, do the annotated bibliography, do your discussions, anything else like that, that is not your own words. If I suspect it, then the burden of proof falls to you. I'll put the 0 in. I'll give you the opportunity to revise, to correct, or dispute. But it does fall to you to prove that it was not used. I will go through my own process that I use to when I suspect it. And I do usually go through due diligence to make sure that I'm not falsely accusing someone. What we need to remember is that AI does not sound like human, even when we say make it sound like a human. There's always going to be something that throws it into a loop where an instructor is going to read it and go, this is not your paper. There were instances in previous semesters where I give the beginning of the year litmus, where I give you the paper and I'm like, write this to me on by hand. And then the rest of the semester, the paper didn't sound like that. Maybe we work harder on our papers and we sound different. But have been times that I have read essays that were not someone's work, that they had enhanced it. And what was found is many times they're using something like Grammarly to enhance their language. Using Grammarly to correct your grammar, to correct sentence structure, to correct spelling, to correct punctuation, Grammarly is great for that. Using a grammar check in Word or a grammar check in Docs is completely okay. When it changes your tone, like you use the paid version of Grammarly and it changes your tone and it changes your voice, that's when it's not okay. That's when I start questioning the writing. Part of the purpose of this class is to learn to write, not to just complete the assignment to get the credit, but to actually learn something from the class. So I would greatly appreciate if we all give our own effort forward instead of using some kind of chatbot or program that writes for us. We could easily take the questions from the textbook, put them into chat, and it answer it for us. But that didn't read the chapter for us, and that didn't get us the information that we needed to know to gain what we need in order to write this research paper that we're going to write at the end of the semester, or to gain what we need to know to become better writers and better learners throughout the semester. So I'm just going to leave that at that. We know, just don't do it. Let's see. Yeah, faculty, remember, reserves the right to change the syllabus or the information that is there, and the changes will be announced to you. Okay, so that's the syllabus. Now, other than the syllabus, if you'll come down to course assignment schedule, this here is, you're not going to ever edit this. You should have viewable access to see it, but not edit it. I will edit it. I will go through and make changes as our due dates change, or if we need to add something or take something away, then things may change. What you can see here is that this actually should be on top of this, but you have the date in which these assignments are happening, or what's going on, what we're doing in class. So this column should be in class. This one is what reading needs to be done before the next class. What is due midnight before the next class, not midnight of the next class, but before the next class. And then what assignments are due that are writing. These are writing assignments. And usually I put in there the due date of which they're due. I used to have these all due on Sundays, but now there's some dates that don't take as much time and others that need to be done before we go to class. So these are listed by due date down there. So for example, the due this week is 3/24 through 3/26. It's actually for the whole week, but those two are the school dates. So here's 3/24. This is the first class, introduction. This is what we're covering in class. I'm doing the introduction. I'm going over the syllabus. I'm going over a description of assignments. Probably not going to get to the discussion of critical reading, but then I'll add that here, and then we'll talk about brainstorming for your research topic. Then this part is due before the next class. So before Thursday, the 26th, you need to go to the textbook and read chapter 1, answer the guided reading questions, which are in the are on the Blackboard assignments page, and then answer those guided reading things. Then come over here and it says, okay, there's a discussion. So go to the discussion guide. And then in Blackboard, you're going to answer this question. That is different than your weekly online writing. Okay, so there's a discussion board. Then here is your weekly online writing. Weekly online writing, this one says, describe your current writing process. What is something from the video that spoke to you? What video, you ask? One of these 3 videos. It says, watch one of these 3 videos. 1, 2, 3. You can click on the link. This one is a video by Neil Gaiman. He's an author. This one is J.K. Rowling, and author of Harry Potter, and then Stephen King. And they're all talking about their writing process and steps that they take for writing. And it's not necessarily about writing a research paper. It's their version of writing. But hey, they get paid lots of money for what they wrote. So why not listen to what they have to say about writing? So that's just going to be a little bit of an introduction to our writing course here. And so you can click on one of those, watch the few minutes of the video that's on there. I think 12 minutes, it might be the longest one. There might be one of 20, but you can kind of skip through a little bit. And then answer this question in the it's online. And you just click on there. I think I've got it labeled as a journal instead of a discussion board. Then 326 on Thursday, we'll have a discussion over research and citations. We will do a little bit of review for 1301. We'll discuss the research paper in depth on Thursday and go through that process, and then talk about your research proposal. That'll be due on April 2nd. So there's the due date here. Before the following Tuesday, you need to read these websites, review these websites. And then here's those websites again. And then you have a journal entry. What are your concerns about writing a research paper? What do you know? What do you need to know? What's something you'd like to research? This is a different journal entry. And then here's your discussion. So those will be coming up on your pages. And then this just goes through. I kind of tried to keep the same colors, like this is yellow. So this is week 1. This is week 2. They're green. Week 3 is blue. And then I get into week 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I haven't split these up into the days yet. So like this is Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday. I haven't got that far because it depends on how fast we go through these assignments as to where these are going to fall. And that just depends on each class from term to term as to where I go with that. But you can see where we're going. I do not have the due dates on here yet. Again, it just kind of depends on the speed of the class and to what we're doing there. But this will get filled out soon. We'll have the midterm the week of, hopefully on 4/9. It should be that week, second week in April. And it should be an online assessment. All right, so this here, it's a little bit different than the way that I had it laid out in last session. But hopefully you can see, okay, this is what I'm doing in class. This is what I need to do before I go to that class. This is what I need to do online. And here's my writing assignment. And the assignment due dates are usually listed in there. Okay. So go back over here. That was course and assignment schedule. Take a breath. All right, so next we have an academic integrity quiz. This is due by Thursday. You just go on there and talk about academic integrity. It's just a quiz for me to see where you are, what you think, and what you know. That one's just a completion grade. Here's our textbook. And then I divide our assignments up into modules. So you have this module, module 1, which is the beginning here. These two are due this week. And it looks like my other has not uploaded yet, so the journal shall be in here. Then we have module 2. This starts next week. You'll have something called quote, question and quote, which is an online writing, a weekly online writing. You have guided questions for the chapter. Weekly online writing here. I probably am going to move that one up. Well, no, that one's already there. Okay, that's fine. So these two modules are basically what we're covering over the next 2 weeks. But pay attention to those due dates. These are due this week, and all of this is due next week. And actually, this is the information we're covering next week, but I gave you an extra bit of time to be able to go through that because this guided reading guide for chapter 2 and 3 is long. This should take you some time to get through it. If you are reading it and you are actually annotating, going through and finding the information that's needed, then this is going to take you a bit of time. Probably, I would say this will probably cover an hour, if not longer. And then here's your question and quote that goes with that chapter. We'll be getting into the rest of this. These are other things that we have ignore that due date. Obviously, it's not the same one. I just copied it over from the other class. But everything will be here, and they'll be placed into modules. So right now we only have module 1 and 2, and then everything else will be added in. I think that's everything on the content page. So there we have that. Okay, let me exit this. And that's it. Okay. Let me get into, okay. So I've kind of gone through a lot of this information. Some of these things need to be changed. So I've talked about the hybrid class, that you've got inside and outside of class activities. Work is done. You have the Q and Q. Question and quote means while you're reading the text, you are going to find quotes that are meaningful to you about that text, and then write questions that you want your classmates to respond to about that text. So their discussion, you're kind of putting a quote in and then posing questions to be discussed with your classmates within the discussion module. Quizzes, we'll post those. Here's your question quotes. Responses to the reading, find 2 questions and ask a minimum of 2 quotes and 1 question. The purpose of this activity is to give you practice in critical reading. And throughout the session, you'll prepare to write an extended essay. It's a research essay that's based on research, and we'll go through each part of that. We've talked about these things. In your chapter this week, we're going to talk about critical reading. Okay, so critical reading. Critical reading is reading for information and reading with a specific purpose. It's active, it's not passive. It's what we need to do to think about the text while we're reading the text. It's also annotating and taking notes, possibly summarizing at the end while we're reading. It's not fake reading. Now, we've all done the fake reading where our eyes go across the page and we say we read it. Or maybe we go to the end and we read the summary and we just said we read it. Many times I'm reading something and I might be thinking about what I'm having for dinner instead of reading it. That's fake reading. We've all done this kind of fake reading before. What we're moving toward is this critical reading, finding the information. And this is going to be especially necessary when we are reading articles and reading our sources that we're going to need for our research paper throughout this semester. Annotating your text could include note-taking in the margins. It could include sticky notes. It could include symbols and highlighting. There's various ways to annotate. Annotating is also going to be important because you're going to be doing an annotated bibliography later in this session, but annotating a text, you're going to be putting those notes down so that you remember what you need to know from that article to include in your research paper, in your extended essay, if we'll call it that. Because you'll have quotes and you'll have parts where you're going to refer back to that article to help support the information that you're providing to us in your research paper. So find a way to annotate that works best for you. Outside sources. So we're going to be talking a whole session. We'll do one whole class on outside sources. We'll be looking at peer-reviewed journals, reports, articles, books from credible sources, non-academic sources. We'll discuss periodicals and websites. We're going to talk about how to use Google Scholar. And then I know Michael did an activity for us last session on using the library, and we'll also look at those library sources. But your paper is going to include outside sources. We'll get more into these things. Peer-reviewed journals and academic articles are going to be a big part of that. Reports and other credible non-academic sources, we'll talk about how to sort through those. Chapter 6 does a good bit on that as well. All right, so let's talk a little bit about where you're going at the end of this session. So as we progress through this session, we are going to be building an extended essay that is based on research that you are doing on a topic of your choice. So last session, if you took it with me, we did an argument paper that was based on research from various articles that were about using AI in academics. this essay is on something of your choice. Maybe you are severely interested, like out of this world interested in the food services industry. You want to work in hotel management or something of that nature. So maybe that is where your research starts. You're like, okay, I need to brainstorm. What do I want to research? I want to research hotel management, restaurant management. What specifically in hotel and restaurant management do you want to research? Do you want to research hospitality, the food services portion, the management of a restaurant, the management of a hotel, resorts specifically? So you're going to take something and then bring that down. Within that, you might even choose some kind of controversy that goes with it. Maybe it's the high prices, or maybe it's the Michelin star. Is that really what gets people in the door? But you could look at a controversy within your interest, or just choose a specific idea, and then you're going to provide information on that. After we've decided what our topic is, you're going to list potential questions that you want to answer. These questions will show up on one of our assignments when I'm talking about your research proposal. It'll be what questions you want to answer through your research. Then you're going to finally, after we go through the research proposal, you'll pick your most interesting one and focus your research on that most interesting question that you want to answer and begin your thesis. We'll talk about thesis writing, getting that into being more specific on how to build that thesis around your topic and how to plan out the rest of your paper. So where I want you to go over the next couple days is start thinking about what topic you want to focus on for your extended essay. If we call it extended essay, that doesn't sound as scary as maybe a research paper, but it is research-based. So think about your topic. If you are planning on, like you're super interested in ants and a specific type of ant, and you get all the way down and there's not a lot of resources on that specific type of ant that you're looking for, and ant mounds and ant colonies, I don't know, I'm making something up, then you might have to change topics. So we want to find something that's broad enough that you're going to have a lot of information out there, but then narrow it down to a specific question that focuses within that topic. For instance, maybe you're interested in nursing, and within the health services. And within nursing, it's in pediatric nursing specifically. And then you bring it all the way down and you're talking about oncology and pediatric nursing. And then maybe it's specifically bedside practices within oncology. And you see how we can go down and how we can narrow that even further and further. And so then when you start developing a question that goes around that. And so that's kind of where we're going to be working and talking about our brainstorming. So that's kind of the first big brain thing to do, is to start thinking about what you want to research. And that will lead to our paper that we will get to at the end of our session. So great, Miss Lewallen, great. You gave us all this information. You've been talking for an hour. What do I got? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? I would say the first thing you need to do is take this quiz. Go take the academic integrity quiz. Let's see what you know, what you don't know, and so that I can make sure that I address that in there. After that, go to the course assignment schedule. Open up that course assignment schedule. Where is it? And look at what is going to be due soon. Do you have to do everything that showed up on the content? No. Can you get ahead? Yes. As long as I post it on there, it's eligible for you to work on. But as soon as you submit it, that's when it's eligible for grading as well. So keep that in mind. So I would say go through, look at what's coming up due, watch some videos if you've got the time, read your chapter on chapter 1, and do your guided reading guide. Where's that guided reading guide? She talks about this guided reading guide. Where is that? Okay. In module 1, here is your assignment, guided reading guide for chapter 1. You're going to open that assignment and it has questions here to follow along. Pull that open over and do a split screen. You can have your textbook on one side and then your split screen with your questions on the other. You can also print it out, write your questions in, and then go back and type if you wish to do that. It is a form that follows in. You have unlimited attempts, meaning that you can go back in there and then you will get 25 points. That's just all of them will be worth the 25 points each time you have a guided reading chapter or a guided reading for the chapter. And then you've got this. You have, after you've read chapter 1, go and read the information on the discussion. You're going to post first, and then you can read everyone else's. And it says, when you have answered the questions, read others' answers and respond with a positive comment about their answers to the question. So don't forget to go back and do that. All right. And then we get into module 2, which basically starts up whenever you're ready to get into it. But this is going to have your reading guide for chapter 2 and 3. That is due the following week. It's not due 3/21. I actually can go edit this right now because it's not due 3/21. It is due. I think I made that due here. Nope. 4/6. That's what I did. Okay. There we go. So now it's set. 4/6. So yes, you've got some time to get through this because we're going to go through all of the information next week. And then you have time to get through all of what you need for those 2 chapters. Question and quote is due that following week, and that's over the chapter. So this is all next week's stuff, and this is this week's stuff. So this is where you want to start. All right. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can go to messages and send me a message. Some of you have my phone number. You can text that or text me if you have something that you need an immediate answer, and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. So I look forward to reading your discussions, and I look forward to meeting you on Thursday. So I'll see you in person on Thursday at 6 o'clock. I hope you'll have a great and wonderful evening.